Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm Sharon Fitz, and I will be the presenter today over the topic Phonics and Grammar, the building blocks to comprehension. My goal is to share with you today how when phonics and grammar work together, students are truly able to comprehend what they are reading. First of all, though, I am going to have you watch one of our students who has been on our program before. This is Aiden, and I'm going to turn off my video so that you are just concentrating on him and you will be able to listen to what he has to say.
Go. Hi, this is. I just called this video because I just wanted to tell you that reading and writing is hard for me because I can't put the words down on the paper even though that I know it. And I try as hard as I can to, but something just won't let it. And it's hard for me to spell words. It's hard for me to also, in reading, to read the words and read the big words because I can't see the whole entire thing and I gotta go like at, it, the. And it's just pretty hard for me, and Miss Bradley.
Aiden decided he wanted to do a video because he wanted to thank his teachers for helping him. Aiden has dyslexia. He is smart, but he cannot read or write. His teacher's solution was books on tape, and she was doing her best to try and help him. But with this solution, he is going to be staying at the second grade reading level for the rest of his life. I'm sure you have seen students who are much like Aiden, students who are frustrated, students who want to do well, but just simply do not have that ability to move further in their reading skills. Aiden goes on to explain that there are students in his class that finish before he ever really gets started, and he is very frustrated because he cannot go at their speed. How many children are there with some form of reading problems? Lots of students, whether they're students who are just struggling readers or students who are dyslexic or students who are identified as special education. There are many students who have reading problems. Do the teachers know how to help them? Hopefully they do. If not, then we need to get the point over how those students need phonics as well as grammar in order to be able to read fluently and with comprehension. 95% of all students can read if they have the proper instruction, and that's what we want to ensure, that those teachers use the proper instruction to teach those students. What do we know about dyslexic students? We know that they need explicit instruction in phonics and phonemic awareness. We know that they need their instruction to build in a sequential order. And we know that they need multimodal instruction. They also need a lot of opportunity for review and practice. What do we know about how learning grammar can impact these struggling readers, whether they be students who are dyslexic or students who have a learning disability? What can we do to help those students with grammar? Just as struggling readers need phonics taught in a systematic way, grammar needs to be taught in an organized format. According to Timothy Shanahan, who is a professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, grammar should be taught in a sequential manner. His quote is, "Teaching one part of speech at a time, beginning with nouns, while applying the same structured, sequential, and cumulative nature of the Orton-Gillingham approach, will allow students to master grammatical concepts." Now, paraphrasing what he said, he goes on to say, this helps the dyslexic student in their mental organization. New grammatical concepts must be connected with previously learned concepts to help the students retrieve information stored in their minds. That goes on to the second bullet. It helps the dyslexic student to keep organization in their minds. And when they have that organization, then they can go back and retrieve what they've previously learned. We know that grammar helps with written expression, and it helps with understanding how sentences are put together, which in turn helps with comprehension. Students can learn to make pause points so that they can make mental images in their minds to aid comprehension. If you Google mental images and comprehension, you will see that there is a lot of research out there that is, or a lot of studies that show how making mental images in your mind, visualizing what you're reading, helps with comprehension. Grammar and phonics need to start with simple and concrete concepts and then move to more complex forms, and they need to be reviewed continuously. Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach does just that. It teaches students to read and comprehend in a sequential, organized way, and it continually reviews what the students have previously learned and applies it to new concepts. Posey Boggs is the founding president of the Alaska branch of the International Dyslexia Association, and she recognizes that technology can have a place in teaching dyslexic students. Part of her review of Mindplay is below. What teachers and the tutors like. Mindplay supports and matches the structured literacy approach to reading instruction. What that means is while you are doing the instruction with a small group, you can have other students on the Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach or on the computer, and you know when they're on Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach, they're getting that structured, organized instruction. They're getting their phonics skills, their grammar skills, they're getting vocabulary. All of that is there for them so that when they do work with you in a small group setting, they have that background where they've just been getting the review, getting the skills down that they need. They work with you, they go back to the computer. Again, they are using what you've just taught them on the computer. So they work hand in hand together. Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach is all automatic and adaptive. The students will start out with a reading screener. They'll go on to phonics and phonemic awareness when needed, grammar for meaning, fluency and comprehension, and vocabulary. And we're going to talk about these in the different pieces. When the students finish their universal screener, which we'll talk about later, they're going to have a phonics pretest. So that means that they will be assessed. The 2nd through 12th grade students will be assessed, and actually this works with struggling reading adults as well. And then they will be assigned what they need and move on to the lessons that they need. And we continually monitor and adjust. Kindergarten students will start with phonemic awareness and move to phonics, whereas your 1st grade students will start with phonics and then move to phonemic awareness whenever it's needed. But 2nd grade and above will be pre-tested and only get the phonics lessons that they need, and if they struggle enough times with their phonics lesson, then they automatically get the phonemic awareness. The artificial intelligence that's built within this program allows us to give the targeted feedback specifically to what that student needs. We are based on Orton-Gillingham method, so again, you know that the students are getting the multimodal teaching. You know that they're getting it in a sequential, organized way. One of the reasons Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach works so well is because we have 7 speech pathologists that work with the students in phonics and phonemic awareness. These 6 ladies around the outside edges and this one are all speech pathologists. They're showing the students where to place their tongue, where to put their teeth, when they're working with sound partners. And all of that is just a part of the program that happens automatically. This is the comprehension coach. This coach works with phonemic awareness, and both of these are the grammar for meaning coaches. You're going to see that with phonemic awareness, we have 44 lessons, but again, unless you're a kindergartner, those lessons only pop up when the student needs them. There are 14 layers of instruction. That means that if a student struggles with one concept and hearing it in one way, then they hear it again in a totally different way. You think about as a teacher how many times you say the same thing over and over again in a different way. This program does that. With phonics, there are 96 lessons. They are only assigned the lessons that they need, though, in second grade and above, and up to 21 or 22 layers of instruction. So most of them have anywhere from 7 to 14. If a student struggles with understanding one layer of instruction, then they get another one. So it's, again, just presenting it in different ways. Grammar for Meaning has 59 lessons with up to 10 different ways to present it. The formative feedback is just amazing, as I mentioned earlier, within this program, and I'm going to show that to you as we look at it a little further. And then just know that mastery learning is expected with grammar, phonics, and phonemic awareness. Students have to show 100% mastery before they can go to the next concept. With this, we expect the fidelity of implementation to be 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week. Now, we can talk about those 30 minutes a little, another time when you reach out to your representatives in your area, but that 30 minutes is really, really important. For your kindergarten and first grade students, you might want to make it 20 minutes. For your older students, you might say 40 to 45 minutes. They don't have to be all in one sitting. You can do 10 minutes in the morning when the students get to school, and then do 20 minutes later on in the day. Again, I've mentioned that we are very systematic. We expect students to have 100% mastery before they go from one concept to another concept. And this is our scope and sequence, and you can see it's very robust. But again, it's very organized in the way we present things. I've made it a little bit larger here for you to see so that you can understand with those second grade students and above, they're going to start out with the phonics pretest over lessons 1 through 21. So let's just say I do my phonics pretest and I don't need lessons 1 through 5, but I need lesson 6 and I need lesson 10. Then that is what is assigned for me. After lesson 6, if I struggle enough times with the letter G and the sound G that G makes, then I will have phonemic awareness. But remember, I'm hearing anywhere up to usually 7 to 14 different instructional presentations until I show that I get it at 100% mastery. If I just need one presentation, then that's all I get. After lesson 6, when I show my mastery, I'll go on to lesson 10. But meanwhile, the next time I log in, I'll have 4 minutes of vocabulary and then go back into my phonics lesson. After lesson 14, the next time the students log in, they'll have 7 minutes of fluency and comprehension and then go back into their phonics lesson. After lesson 8, then we rotate. So one day they'll have vocabulary and phonics, the next day they'll have fluency and phonics, and it just flip-flops. After lesson 18, I'll have a grammar pretest to see what my baseline knowledge is. But unlike phonics, no student gets to skip out of grammar. We feel like it is that important, and we'll talk further about that in a little while. Lesson 21 is sight words, and everyone will have the sight words. And once I score my 100% mastery on it, then I'm going to have a review test over lessons 1 through 21. And if I don't score 80% on that, then I'm retaught the lesson in a totally different way. This is just showing you samples of the phonics instruction and practice, and you can see where this teacher is a speech pathologist, and she's working with the students on the M and the M sound, the M sound as well. This is a lesson on Greek roots, so you can see we go quite a ways into our phonics lessons. I'm going to let you see a phonics lesson so that you can see how the speech pathologist works with the students.
Sounds and letters go together. When you hear the consonant sound spell it with the letter M. M is the first letter, and is the first sound in mat. M is the last letter, and is the last sound in jam.
Now I want you to see the specific targeted feedback so that you can understand how it gets to exactly what that student needs.
Spell phone. English words that come from the Greek language have unique spelling patterns. Phone. In words from the Greek language, spell the consonant sound f with the letters ph.
So you could see the red question marks up there in the red letters to help the student understand that is what they missed. And when they didn't get it the second time, then she went on to explain the Greek lesson about pH. You can see we have many different activities. We expect 100% mastery on at least 4 activities, and if they don't score that, then we go back and we reteach it in a different way, or we give them another activity. This is showing you 10 different instructional presentations for the OI-OY sound. With phonemic awareness, we are going to work on these particular activities. We know that phonemic awareness is working with the sounds without the symbols, and so all of that will be a part of the phonemic awareness. Remember, the first grade students will start with phonics and get phonemic awareness when they need it. And again, those second graders and above will also get phonemic awareness when they need it. But kindergarten students will start out with phonemic awareness and then move to phonics. This is showing you the different areas that we work with, the blending, the sound production, initial, medial, and final sounds, the onset and rhyme, phoneme segmentation, and the rhyming. All of that is a part of the phonemic awareness. Each lesson in MVRC, which is Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach, Grammar for Meaning, provides simple definitions, explanations, and examples. As students identify, sort, and manipulate parts of speech, they also learn visualization strategies that will help them with their comprehension. The lessons are cumulative and they build systematically, which if you'll remember, that's what Timothy Shanahan said that we need. For example, a lesson on compound sentences follows lessons on clauses and subordinate conjunctions. Now remember, not only do we teach the structure and patterns of the English language, we teach students to make mental images in their mind. I'm going to let you see this this grammar lesson on prepositions, and I want you to notice the pictures that are within the program as it's being taught.
When I read the sentence, Jake runs, I form a picture in my mind of Jake running. When I add more information to the sentence, my picture changes. Jake runs to the hill. Now I see Jake running towards a hill. I can make the picture change again. Jake runs up the hill. Look, I only changed one preposition and my whole picture changed. Now let's read a longer sentence. Mark ran with his lunch up the hill to the bus stop. Wow, it's hard to make that picture. We generally need to pause for a breath after reading 4 to 6 words. One good place to pause is before or after a prepositional phrase. Mark ran with his lunch up the hill to the bus stop.
Up to 10 different ways to teach and reteach each lesson. And again, what we're trying to do is break that word for word reading where the student might say, Paul and his brother went to, without pausing and thinking about what they're reading, they just really don't get it when it takes them that long to read. So we try to teach them when to make those pause points. And in this case, we're working with several different parts of speech. And each time they make that pause point, they're making that picture in their mind. With vocabulary, the students start out with the placement test. What I really like about it is that the students hear shared reading. They're hearing the prosody and the inflection in the coach's voice as they follow along. The students like it because they see it as a game-like atmosphere. With fluency and comprehension, we're going to start the students with visual scanning, and then we go to word match, which comes from the Fry word list and the words in the next story. And they will start out with single line reading, and you can see where the words pop up and then they disappear as they move along. The questions are for the comprehension questions are asked or shown before the students ever begin to read. And with students who struggle with reading, we sometimes encourage that those students write down one word out of each of those questions so that we know that they're reading those questions and they're ready to move on to the reading passage. If a student struggles with single line reading enough times, then they will get pause assisted reading where it's broken up into smaller chunks. Once they master their single line reading at 85% comprehension, then we give them the multi-line reading. Now, the way we determine where a student starts is we take where the student tested in that universal screener to be their independent reading level, and we move them down by 3 to 4 years because we want them to feel really comfortable with their fluency passages when they first start. When you look at this document, this is a fluency report, and you can see that the students started at second grade level, read at 85% comprehension, 60 words per minute, so then we jumped him up to 70 words per minute, then 80 words per minute, and he keeps moving up 10 words per minute when he shows that 85% comprehension. Here he struggled with comprehension a bit, so we gave the pause-assisted reading, then he moved up and mastered 175 words per minute at a second grade level. We drop him down in words per minute when he goes to the third grade level because the text-like style is more difficult. Just as important as this report is, though, you can scroll down and you can see that in the last 30 days, this student has struggled with deriving meaning, scoring 67%. So when he does struggle with it enough times, a comprehension lesson will automatically occur on deriving word or phrase meaning. With our comprehension lessons, there are 3 different levels of instruction. And so, again, if they're not getting it, we're going to give them a different level of instruction. But you can see all of the lesson objectives for our comprehension skills. Our comprehension instruction is direct explanation, teacher modeling, guided practice, and practical application. Very quickly, teachers can see what is happening with their students. They have the Mindplay Manager dashboard, which leads them to what is happening with their individual students. When I look at this particular student, I can see that he has an exclamation mark surrounded by a triangle. When I hover over that, I can see that he is struggling with soft C and soft G. His severity is just 1, so I probably don't want to help him just yet. I want the program to do its magic. But when I do want to help him, I can click on Recommended Support Sheet, and it automatically takes me to the phonics support sheets where I can find the soft C and soft G lesson and help him with that, one-on-one or in small groups. Now, these are those supplemental resources. So again, when I click on that, it's going to take me to these phonics support sheets. I'll go to that, I'll work with him, and as we do trainings with teachers, we actually give them additional documents that they can keep record of having worked with that particular student in that level so that you have that documentation showing that you are meeting the student's needs. We have the grammar support sheets, the expert sheets that work with reading comprehension and making the pause points and making the visualization. We have phonics support sheets and phonemic awareness support sheets as well. This is showing you a phonics support sheet for the K and the digraph CK. It tells you or the paraprofessional exactly what to say. All of that is there for the teacher to pull when a student is having trouble with this particular area. This is a grammar practice test, a grammar practice sheet. Again, it's highly scripted. It's telling you exactly what to say to work with that student. And then this is that expert sheet where we're working with that visualization. We're working with fluency and vocabulary, and we're working with grammar as well. But the students learn that after a proper noun, they make a pause point. So you would say can. Tell me what can looks like. Is at bat. What is Ken doing? Now, Ken, picture Ken again, hits. How did your picture change of Ken? All of that is included in those support sheets that we have for you. This is one of the most important reports I feel like that we have, and this is a student progress report. And in this, I can see where this student was only assigned these particular lessons based on need. It's giving me their time on task. It's giving me the date that they accomplished it, and is showing you exactly what is happening with those students. So that if your principal or someone comes in with administration and wants to know, are you meeting these students' needs? Or if a parent comes in, you have this documentation to say, yes, we are. This is the date that they did on it. This is the date that they worked on it. This is the day that they showed their mastery. Now this is showing you another type. It's the progress report, but with this student struggled in some areas. Now, when he was working on the AIR phonics rule, he had trouble with B versus D. So that was taught long ago, but in Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach, we're always checking and rechecking to make sure the student is remembering what he has previously learned. So we went back and we retaught it for 3 minutes. When he did the EAR rule, he also had trouble with the floss rule, the I versus E and the B versus D. There it is again. So I might want to pull the resource sheet on B and D and do that with my student. So again, just know that we're always checking and rechecking what that student knows. One of the things that I do, as soon as I look at a progress report and I see that a student is struggling, after that, I pull the error report and then bring the student over and say, spell tat. He can spell it and then he can write it. And then I'd say, look at how you wrote it here. It's important for the students to know that you're seeing every single answer that they're putting in there. But it's also important for you to see it so that you can understand how that student is struggling and why. Students see this as their dashboard. They are motivated by this. This is showing their time on task for that day. This is showing the lessons completed. They can go to the graph and they can look at their reports. If students use Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach from home, they can easily get to their reports and the parents can look at them. Or you can, as a teacher in the classroom, walk past and say, let's pull up your reports and talk about it with them. They can see their achievements. They can go in and change their avatar and buy different themes according to how many lessons that they have mastered, how many stories they've mastered, and their comprehension level, their time on task. Now, I mentioned that we have a universal screener. That is given when the students very first log in, the very first time, and then it's usually given 3 more times during the school year. These are the skills that are tested, and I'll let you look at that for just a few minutes. Actually, you don't need a few minutes. I'm sure you've already read it by now, but these are, again, are the skills that are tested on the universal screener. For your kindergarten students, they will start out with listening vocabulary and go this direction. On their third benchmark, they will also have the closed screening, CLOZE, and natural fluency. For first grade students, they will go this pathway. For your students that are in second grade and above, they again will start out with that closed screening, the comprehension screener. We'll find out where we think they're reading and then move them down a year. And if they're not reading on that grade level for expected fluency, they go this pathway. If they are on grade level, then they'll go to natural fluency and go this direction. Now, what does all of this look like? Oh, I skipped ahead. We also have customizable pathing now, where you can add letter discrimination. Letter discrimination is the test that Mindplay gives to let us know whether or not those students might have dyslexic tendencies. We will give them a part of a real word, and they have to finish it with either a P, D, B, or Q. And so it lets us know whether or not they're struggling in that area. We're not going to say the student is dyslexic. We will just, that if they fail it 3 or 4 times, realize that that student might have dyslexic tendencies. We also have alphabet knowledge, where the students recognize the different letters of the alphabet within 1 minute, and we have rapid color recognition. Now, what does that all look like? It's this. Now, students might not finish the testing in one day, and that's fine. They can log off and finish it the next day. But again, this is that closed screening. We're taking where those students are at their current grade level and moving them down a couple of years, and then starting them out with the filling in the blank, closed screening, C-L-O-Z-E. It will move up or down according to what those students need. This whole test is highly adaptable. From there, we're going to move them down another grade level and start them with the expected fluency. If they're showing us to be on grade level here with their comprehension, then we move them to natural fluency, where all of the words are on the text. They do not know they're being checked for words per minute, but they are. If they struggle with expected fluency, we give them pause-assisted reading, where the text is broken up into smaller chunks. They will have listening vocabulary, where all of the questions are given orally, the answers are given orally. They'll have phonics, where they will have nonsense words, and they need to know that. In this case, you see an H and a P, so she might ask me for hacks, and I would put in the A and the X. We'll have the visual scanning, where we're checking the left to right eye progression, the letter discrimination test if you would like it to be in there, the alphabet knowledge test, and the rapid color recognition, which gives us a kind of an idea as to how fast they can process things. And then for that K and 1, they're going to have the counting sounds. Every 14 days by default, we give the students a 5-minute progress monitor. This is the pathway for kindergarten and first. This is the pathway for their second grade and above. But what that's going to do is let us monitor the growth that those students are making. What we want to do is find out the independent reading level of the students, where they're able to read with very little help from a teacher and still comprehend at least 90%. We're going to give you their words per minute, but we actually call it the effective reading rate. We take the number of words per minute times their comprehension score to get the effective reading rate, but you can look at it as the words per minute. And then we also give you the text lexile of the text complexity of what they're reading. This is showing you a class improvement report, and this is what we look at as soon as the students finish the universal screener and then once they've had progress monitoring or another universal screener. This shows me that in the very first test, we had 3 students that were critical, 2 or more years below grade level. And in the last progress monitor or full screener, we still had 1 student critical. But don't think that student hasn't made progress. He or she probably has, but they're still 2 or more years below grade level. The yellow is approaching, the green is meeting, and the blue is exceeding. More importantly to me as a teacher, though, is to go down and see what each student is doing. This student is a 3rd grade student, started out as critical 2 or more years below grade level, reading at 1st grade level with 47 words per minute and a text lexile at 420. That first test will always be here under the purple columns. Under the blue-green columns, you will always see the last screener or the last progress monitor. So in this case, this student is approaching, working 1 year below grade level. I can see the asterisk there, so that shows me that they're still weak in phonics, working at 2nd grade level, 63 words per minute, and the text lexile has almost doubled. You will have a parent report that is written in English or in Spanish. The top part always gives what the student did on the screener, and the bottom part is what the students are doing in the intervention. You'll have a student improvement report. I know that this was a progress monitor and these were progress monitors because the listening vocabulary is given for a full screener. In this first test, we said the student was critical, reading at 1st grade level because of what they did in their closed screening, and they're reading anywhere from 50 to 89% in comprehension. Here they mastered their comprehension, so we moved them up reading at 2nd grade level independently. Here they've mastered their 3rd grade comprehension, but we don't stop them. We let them move on, and now they're working on 4th grade material. And then this is showing you what they did as well in their phonics, their listening vocabulary, their visual scanning, and their phonemic awareness too. You have a class intervention report where you can group students. I know that both of these boys named James are struggling with NMP, so I can go to those additional resources and I can group the students together. You have a usage report, and you have all of the data that you need to show what that student is struggling with so that you can make educational decisions, and you also have the data as proof that your students are getting the instruction they need. Now I want you to listen to Aiden. This is after he's been on Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach for a while.
Behold the bobcat. Have you seen a bobcat? A bobcat is not like a pet cat. It is a wildcat. Most bobcats have black spots.
And you can see he has much more confidence in his reading. He's going to be much more likely to raise his hand and read in front of his peers because he feels good about himself and how he is doing. These are your local representatives, Joyce Wenis-Mills and Nancy Metz and Tia Baker. These are their phone numbers and their emails. I just encourage you, if Mindplay Virtual Reading Coach is something that you see will fit with your students, which I think if you have struggling readers, it will fit. This is a program that I am sold on. I have been working with them for many years now and understand the growth that students can make when they work with the program. But if you see that it's something that you would like to see more of, you would like to possibly use in your classroom or with your school, please contact one of these ladies. You might want to get your phone and take a screenshot, take a picture of this so that you have their phone number and their information. And then my information is at the bottom. I am welcome to talk with you at any time. I'm happy to talk with you at any time, I should say, about the program and show you more information about it. So just let me know if we can help you. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you were able to see how when phonics or grammar are mingled together and taught together, then it aids those students with comprehension. Have a good day.